Paddy Corcoran's wife. Paddy Corcoran's wife was for several years afflicted with a kind of complaint which nobody could properly understand. She was sick, and she was not sick. She was well, and she was not well. And she was not sick, and she was well, and she was not well. She was as ladies wish to be who love their lords, and she was not as much as ladies wish to be. In fact, nobody could tell what the matter with her was. She had a gnawing at her heart, which came heavily upon her husband, for which the help of God, a keener appetite than the same gnawing amounted to, could not be met with of a summer's day. The poor woman was delicate beyond belief, and she had no appetite at all, so she hadn't barring a little relish for a mutton chop, or a steak, or a bit of meat anyway. For sure, God help her, she hadn't the least inclination for the dry patty, or the drop of sour buttermilk along with it, especially as she was so poorly, and indeed for a woman in her condition, for sick as she was, poor Paddy always was made to believe her in that condition. God's will be done. She didn't care. A pratty and a grain of salt was a welcome to her. Glory be to his name. As the best roast and boiled that ever was dressed, and why not? There was one comfort. She wouldn't be long with him, long troubling him. It mattered little what she got. For sure she knew herself that from the gnawing at her heart, that she would never do without the little bit of meat now and then. And sure, if her own husband begrudged it to her, who else had she a better right to expect it from? Well, as we have said it, she lay a bedridden invalid for long enough, trying doctors and quacks of all sorts, sexes and sizes, and all without a farthing's benefit, until at last long run poor Paddy was never brought to the last pass in striving to keep her in the bit of meat. The 7th year was now on the point of closing, when one harvest day, as she lay bemoaning her hard conditions on her bed beyond the kitchen fire, a little wishy woman, dressed in a neat red cloak, comes in, and sitting down by the hearth says, "Well, Kitty Corcoran, you've had a long lair of it there on the broad of your back for 7 years, and you're just as far from being cured as ever." "Mevrone," said the other, "in truth that's what I was the minute thinking of, and a sorrowful thought it's to me." "It's your old fault, thing," says the little woman, "and indeed for that matter it's your fault that ever you wore that at all." "Arrah, how was that?" said Kitty. "Sure I wouldn't be here if I could help it. Do you think it's a comfort or pleasure to me to be sick and bedridden?" "No," said the other, "I do not. But I tell you the truth, for the last 7 years you have been annoying us. I am one of the good people, and as I have a regard for you, I'm come to let you know the reason for you've been sick for so long as you are, for all the time you've been ill. If you'll take the trouble to remember, your children threw out your dirty water and dusk and before rise, as the very time we're passing your door, which was twice a day. Now if you avoid this, if you throw out a different place and a different time, the complaint that you have will love you. So will the gnawing at the heart, and you'll be as ever your woe. If you don't follow this advice, why, remain as you are, and all the art of man can't cure you." She then bade her goodbye and disappeared. Kitty, who was glad to be cured in such easy terms, immediately complied with her injunction of the fairy, and the consequence was that the next day she found herself in as good health as ever she enjoyed during her life.